Welcome to the Rockabye Revenue Podcast with me, Abby Watson. I'm a mum of 4 and a business strategist, and I train people to become hypnobirthing teachers. In the last decade, I've built a thriving baby business that grew beyond my wildest dreams. This podcast is for you if you run a business or dream of running a business in the birth and baby industry. You want to change lives whilst making more money. I'm talking about creating sustainable income whilst being present for the people that matter most. I believe for our baby businesses to have the impact we desire, we must be rewarded. On this podcast, expect me to share actionable strategies without the jargon. I've been where you are. I've built a business while raising 4 little ones, and now I'm here to help you turn your passion into profit while creating the life you've always dreamed of. So let's get started. Hello, lovely one. How are you doing? I hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm here today to talk about why you need a business bestie. Why that might be one of the best things you can do for your business. Now, whilst I say this, I get that this can feel tricky for some people. And I think if I'd have heard this message, when I'd been first started out, I'd have looked around at my industry and felt like I feel like, there's nobody that I would gel with. Not because I didn't like them, but I suppose I had a huge dose of imposter syndrome, which I now know was just feeling like a beginner. And I definitely put everybody else on a pedestal and felt like, I just feel really silly trying to connect with those people. So if you are feeling any of those things, please know you absolutely need this episode. You do. And if you are totally up for having more business besties, again, this episode is going to be really great for you too. Now, when we think about working in our business, we think about the stuff we do with our clients, with our customers. Maybe even we think about the marketing, the planning, all those kind of things. But we rarely think about connecting with other business owners unless it's for collaboration as a business activity. I want to change your mindset on that today, because it absolutely will be so beneficial for your business to connect with someone, even if they do the exact same thing as you. So even if you're a hypnobirthing teacher and you meet up with another hypnobirthing teacher, you're probably not going to collaborate together. You might, but you're probably not. But there will be so many other benefits of creating that relationship, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, of course, when I'm talking about a birth business buddy or a baby business buddy, it doesn't have to be someone who does the exact same work as you. It doesn't have to be. However, sometimes there can be benefits of that. Sometimes there can be benefits of connecting with someone and building a relationship with someone who really gets it, that are having really similar experiences to you and knows the type of work you do. Because let's face it, when we set up our wonderful businesses and we have so much passion and so much excitement for our businesses, it's great. But one of the things that many of us often really quickly realise is that there's not many people in our lives that truly get it. We might have incredible friends and family members that are wonderful cheerleaders for us, But when we share things that are going on in our businesses, they don't get it. They try, but they don't get it. And maybe some of the advice, we nod along to, but actually we know that that's not really going to work because they're only ever seeing one part of your work and they're making many assumptions about the other things. So this is why having a business bestie, having a friend that does similar work to you can be really powerful. When you meet up, when you form a relationship with somebody who does the same work as you, there can be a real feeling of exhaling. That relief, that sigh of relief that you are not alone. And some of the feelings that you have, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's not just you, That random thing that you wrote into ChatGPT at 2 a.m, they've also wondered. And you laugh about it. And actually it reminds you that you're not going insane. That these are just normal feelings of a person that does a similar job to you. Now, before you ran your business, maybe you at some point had a regular job. And that was certainly me. I used to be a secondary school teacher. And as a secondary school teacher, I knew a lot of other secondary school teachers. And, sometimes I'd sit in the staff room and, I'd had a bit of a tricky morning and I'd tell them something that had happened and it had made me feel 100 times better. For that to be met with, oh my gosh, yep, that happened to me too. Just that can make such a difference. Now, when we become self-employed, we don't have that staff room. We don't have the water cooler moments. We don't have that little chat over the photocopier or, the little catch up on Zoom. We don't have those things. So one of the downsides can be that we can be very alone in our feelings about the things that are going on in our business. And yes, we're talking here about the trickier stuff, but also the positive things, your incredible joy at getting, 10 bookings on your taster session might not be shared by your sister. She might not get what an incredible achievement that is, like somebody else who's in the industry. So being able to share that with someone who gets it matters so blooming much. As well as that, when we become friends with someone who does similar work to us, maybe has the exact same role as us, and it doesn't have to be the person who does it on your doorstep. There's so many different people who do the types of work we do worldwide. We've got choice. We really have. But when we make those connections, when we chat, when we hear the behind the scenes of their business, it pulls us out of comparison because we're not just seeing the glossy social media stuff. We're not just sitting there making assumptions about all the things that are going on in their business and how, they wake up on a morning and jump out of bed and say, oh my gosh, I'm amazing, because they probably don't. And it actually takes us into that reality where we realise that all these things we were thinking in our own heads were just stories and weren't actually reality. And blaming comparison as a business owner is, oh my gosh, it's like the enemy of a successful business. Because if we are stuck in comparison, feeling like everybody else is better than us, they've all got it together. If you're having a bad time, you feel like the only person in the world, we don't have that resilience. We don't have the resilience to keep on going. And here I am talking about this a decade into my business. If I'd have stuck in comparison for that whole decade, well, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here running my business 10 years later. Okay. So connecting with somebody rather than just observing people in your industry will absolutely free you of the depths of comparison that we can so get into when we are just watching from the outside. The other benefit is if you are sat with one other person in your industry that has had a whole set of different experiences than you, and you're sat there, with another set of experiences that they haven't had, and you're bringing that together, the ideas, the lessons learned, the mistakes you can learn from, the tips, all these things are coming together. And my goodness, that's when magic happens. Chatting to someone in your industry and then just talking about some of the things that have been going on is going to give you ideas. Is going to teach you things that you wouldn't have learned without that conversation. So these are all the incredible benefits that you can get from having a business bestie. Now, the other thing that is worth saying is when you have gone into something so heart-led, so passion-based, quite often the other people that have gone into it too, you're going to have more in common with them than perhaps anyone else in your life. I know people that I have met through my business that I know I would have never come across in any other experiences in my life. And yet they're people that I feel get me so much more than some of the friends that I've had for decades, So those people doing the same thing, taking the same bold action to do something different, they might actually be so your people more than anybody else. And that's pretty magic too. Now, like I said at the start, I know this can feel hard, you're listening to this episode and you're like, oh my gosh, Abby's telling me to make a new friend. And that feels cringe, doesn't it? It feels a bit like your mum trying to set you up with someone new. Let this happen naturally. I'm not saying, go up to someone and say, can we be friends? It doesn't happen like that, does it? But what can you do in this new year that we are going into that is opening up your ability to make new connections? So if you're a member of Love Your Birth, so if you've trained with us or you are one of our graduates, you'll know that every single month we have an online catch-up. And every year we have an in-person Inspiration Day. And you might have been a bit nervous to come along to those things. I know I would be if it wasn't me that was hosting them. And you might have put it off, but come along, listen in. You don't have to be vocal, but just that listening in gets you knowing people in your world. That could be one place. Now, if you're not a member of the Love Your Birth community, you might be a member of some other community that you are currently not benefiting from. You are not following up on those invitations that get sent out to you. You're avoiding them when actually you could gently challenge yourself to go ahead and connect. Now, I've done a whole episode on this before in terms of networking and how I blooming hate networking, and you won't be finding me at a networking event. This is not what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about, pushing yourself to go to a networking event unless you want to. There's so many quieter ways, so many gentler ways of meeting people like you. It doesn't even have to be going to something. It could be that you particularly admire someone in your industry on social media and you're always reading their stuff. And you decide, instead of just reading it, I'm going to start commenting on it. I'm going to reply to their Instagram story and say, I love everything that you do. It's going to make them feel great, but it's also going to start that conversation. Instead of lurking about, make those connections, because you never know, that could be the start of something new and really special. Maybe there's someone that, you have seen in your local area, or, maybe even further afield, that you feel like, I like that person. Dare to reach out and ask if they want to go for a coffee. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? And like I said, this stuff, this connecting with someone, this forming a relationship can have so many benefits for your business that this absolutely can be classed as work things, So not seeing it as another thing to do, thinking of it as doing something good for your business, doing something productive, accomplishing something from making these connections. And who knows where it will go. Now, like I said, I'm absolutely an introvert at heart. Networking, things like that scare the hell out of me. And, as a result, I'm quite a lone ranger. I am. I don't have millions of business besties. I'm not well connected in the industry. I wouldn't say I am at all. But I have a select few of people that I have formed relationships with. And honestly, even though we might go sometimes months without chatting, when we do chat, it's so great. It's so great to be with someone who gets it. It's so great to hear the behind the scenes stuff. It's so great to learn together, reflect, laugh. It all builds total resilience in building a business. So if there is one thing that you do going into 2026, do something small that could mean you meet your business bestie and you get to benefit from all those incredible things of meeting someone who gets it. Have a beautiful week, and I shall catch you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to Rockabye Revenue. I hope this episode has left you with some fresh ideas and bundles of motivation. If you enjoyed this episode, do make sure you click subscribe so you never miss an installment. And if you found this episode useful, I'd love you forever if you leave a 5-star review, helping this podcast reach the ears of more of the helpers in this world. And remember, keep changing lives. See you next time.